Hey, this is Jordan from Avid. I'm here with Greg Spero, who just did an awesome presentation down here at the Avid booth. I couldn't help but notice when you were talking in there, you mentioned a lot about when you were creating one of the songs you were doing, this musical cabin fever that you got, and that you kind of went back to create this and just wanted to try different things. How did tell me a little bit about that and just really how our tools help you do that.
Musical cabin fever. I feel like that's going to be a thing.
Good.
Yeah, I was performing. I performed for 3 years with Halsey, an incredible pop artist. I mean, you probably know.
I do. I love it.
And we started at the very beginning when we were performing in front of like 80 people. And about a year into it, we were doing bigger shows. We were in Europe, and I was playing. Well, we were playing the same songs every night. We'd been playing for about a year, and they're great songs, but they're very simple. And eventually, I was getting very, very restless. Like same songs, same chords, same triads. And so every night after we would perform, everybody else would go out and party, hang out, and I would just go right back to the tour bus. I had my little office area that I'd carved out at the top of it because it was a double-decker. It was in the UK, and I would take out my Yamaha Reface and my laptop and just make something that tweaks my brain in some weird way, make a rhythm, and then write over that rhythm using Sibelius. So I would take, if it was like a 13/16 rhythm, I would make the drum beat for it in a different application, and then I would take 13/16 notes and just splat them out on a page in Sibelius, and then repeat, and create lines that had contours between different goal points at the beginning of each of those 13 notes. And then you could see the contours as they change, and you could see the similarities between the contours and the contour development, and you can see the melodic development when it's all right in front of you. So that's how I actually composed the majority of the Spirit Fingers record that we released in March.
Awesome. I love hearing you talk about music. It's such a, it's like a language you're having here.
That's why it's good to be at NAMM, because there are people like you who love to hear me talk about music. Every other situation I'm in, people are like, will you please talk about something else, like sports or like something? Like, do you have to talk about music all the time?
No. This is great. And actually, I think we should tell everybody also about the Tiny Room series that you're doing, which sounds also like a way of, kind of taking music and twisting it into something different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, Tiny Room was born from all of the pop artist connections that I made throughout the Halsey tour. I got to know these incredible musicians who were great pop artists, but I realized a sort of thread, a similarity between a lot of them is that the music that they put out that got very popular never really did justice to their true artistry that they had within them. Because to make something super popular, you have to make it accessible to the masses. It's been historically true. But I wanted to show what they really could do on a deep musical level as it connects to the essence of music, which for me is something that is much more than a very refined thing that you can digitally curate. It's an improvisatory process that connects people, and that you have to be in a mind space that's clear and present and with another human being when you're creating these interactive pieces, which the majority of music is interactive in one way or another. Even if it's a classical piece composed for somebody, it's interaction between the person who composed it and the person who's playing it, interpreting it in a way. So I would bring in a pop artist. The first one was the group Cheat Codes. Do you know Cheat Codes?
Yeah.
They did No Promises with Demi Lovato. So we brought in Trevor Dahl, who sang and wrote that song, and we had him reimagine that song with me and some other jazz artists out of LA, incredible musicians, including Solomon Dorsey and Gene Coy, a bassist and drummer, who I love and respect and play with a ton. So we all got together and we reimagined the song in this different harmonic landscape, in a more open rhythmic landscape, and we recorded it. I actually held a big party at the studio to record it, and it was streamed live into the other room that had about 200 people in it, outside of the Tiny Room, which can fit like 5 people.
Appropriately named.
Thank you. It wasn't me who came up with the name, it was Eric Lloyd. But anyway, he's an incredible videographer, by the way. He does all the video for the Tiny Room series. So we reimagined this song and performed it in this way that included improvisation and interaction between Trevor and the other vocalist who I brought in, a girl named Sarah from a band called Transviolet, and the way that they interacted and the way that the band interacted, and pulling out these different pieces from the essence of the harmony, like using different notes that pulled and pushed in different directions that you could never use in the more refined pop landscape. And then when you put out the song, it ends up being something completely different that is not for everybody. It's not for you if you just want to listen to the most basic thing and have it be the song that you know, which is a lot of people like that. But if you're looking for something more expansive, more human, more vulnerable, then the songs that we do on the Tiny Room series, including that, and then all these different artists that we're doing, we've got a lot of amazing artists planned for 2019, then you want to come and check out the Tiny Room series.
So when you're talking about that maybe this isn't really for everybody, that there's certain people who are going to connect with this and not. It reminds me, Avid has just launched the Avid Link app that provides a forum for different musicians, different video artists, filmmakers, everyone to sort of connect with one another. And I just feel like you, as someone who would appreciate like what we're trying to do, have you checked it out? Like, what do you think of the sort of community that Avid is trying to create through this app?
Terrible. Hate all of it. I'm just kidding. I think it's incredible that a company that has as much reach as Avid is putting together something that can unify musicians and allow them to meet in a way that they can't in other social ways. Like Facebook is too saturated, LinkedIn is too saturated with all sorts of different motivations. It's exciting to me that Avid Link is going to bring people together purely for the creative process, so that we can find each other when we really need each other in a different sort of way.
That's so great, and clearly someone who appreciates that. I also wanted to ask you, partial to our shared hometown, about the Chicago project that you mentioned in there. Something that also you're collaborating with different artists and everything. Sounds like people you know, but also on Sibelius and Pro Tools, I know you're familiar with the cloud collaboration and the elements of that. Can you talk a little bit to how that might help on projects like this?
Yeah, all music is collaborative. Like nobody is a silo. That's the essence of why it's so important to humanity, actually. That's why Herbie does International Jazz Day. And jazz, I think, is the best descriptor. The ethics of jazz are the best descriptors of what music is on its deepest level and how it can help us as human beings. That's why music education should be more prominent in schools. It teaches us how to be human beings with one another. You can't be a great musician and be a silo. Everything that you create musically is a reference to something else in the past. There are only 12 notes in the scale, and they've all been used in every possible way throughout the history of music. So the only reason anything is relevant is because you use those 12 notes in a way that connects with your past and connects with the people around you, because we all have the same past as human beings. So that's to say that anything that I do, like the Chicago project, it's always collaborative. I brought in Mackay McCraven, Marquise Hill, Daryl Jones, and Jeff Parker to do this particular project. And I composed all of the music, I composed all the pieces myself, but I brought them in to interpret it in their own way. The pieces are all very, very simple. And so Mackay would do a different drum beat on on every piece, something that I'd never thought of. I didn't give him any direction. Same with Daryl and his bass lines. I was like, just do what you feel you should do here. If we were to try to compose this in advance, we didn't, but we could have, and that's something that Sibelius and Avid Link could have helped with a lot. Because I know you can send a score to somebody else and have them work on it, and then it'll automatically be sent back. It'll be especially useful for Pro Tools because of the large file sizes, and it's so hard to just Dropbox a whole Pro Tools session to everybody. It's going to be so much easier with Avid Link to be able to bounce it around and collaborate in that way. And in fact, I will be sending Micaiah some of the material that I've been editing in Pro Tools, so I'll probably end up using Avid Link for that. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm going to. Yeah, so it'd be very helpful in that way.